In the previous video, I showed you how to edit a shapefile and create features. In this video, I will show you how to create metadata. Start by making sure your metadata settings in ArcMap are correct. From the menu on the top, go to Customize, ArcMap Options, then navigate to the Metadata tab. From the drop-down menu, select ISO 19139 Metadata Implementation Specification, then click OK. In the catalog window, right-click on your polygon shapefile and select Item Description. For this activity, the goal is to eliminate any red X's from the window pane on the left by meeting the minimum requirements for the ISO 19139 metadata specification. Click the Edit button and select the first category that has a red X. The first one here is Item Description. Across the top, ArcMap will try to provide information about what metadata is needed to meet the minimum requirements for the ISO 19139 metadata specification. Here it says Abstract is required. If you scroll down, you might notice that the abstract text box is highlighted in pink. The highlight is another indication for what metadata is required. Provide a short description in the abstract text box. Notice the pink highlight, the notice across the top, and the red X are gone. Highlight the next metadata category on the left window pane. In this example, it is the topics and keywords. Across the top, it says Topic category is required. You will need to choose one of the topics from the list by checking the box. For this file, I will check Structure. The next category is Citation. Across the top, it says at least one date is required. I'll enter the date the file was created. The next category is Contacts. Across the top, it says at least one contact is required. I'll add myself as a contact. Notice that when I click the plus sign to add a contact, additional requirements appear across the top. This behavior can sometimes lead to confusion if you inadvertently add too many contacts by clicking the plus sign more than once. Be sure you only add one contact. Fill in the pink text boxes with the appropriate information. I'll enter my name, organization, and position. I'll set my role as author. The next category is distribution. Across the top, it says Format Version Required. In this case, I don't know if shapefiles have a version. In situations where you don't know the answer, it's better to type unknown rather than leaving the field blank. The last category is fields. Across the top, it indicates many requirements. The best thing to do is to address them one at a time. The first requirement here says entity type definition is required. Expand the details for houses, then expand entity type. If you will recall from previous coursework, an entity is a unique object or feature stored in a database. Here, ArcMap is asking you to define or describe what the object or feature represents. In this example, the objects or entities are houses in Arcata. So for the definition, I will type houses in Arcata, California. What is the source of this definition? I am, so I'll enter author for the source. The next requirement says an attribute definition is required. In this shapefile, I have 4 attributes: FID, shape, ID, and area. Expand the area attribute and enter a short definition. Enter author for the definition source. There is still another attribute definition required. Expand the other attributes until you see pink text boxes. The ID attribute needs a definition and a definition source. If you will recall from previous coursework, each database needs a primary key. For the definition, write a numeric index that serves as a primary key. Enter author for the definition source. The next requirement says at least one type of attribute domain is required. It says it twice, so there are going to be 2 attributes that need this information. Click the plus next to New Range Domain. Be careful to click it only once. For the minimum value, enter 0. For the maximum value, enter the number 9 8 times to represent the highest value. Repeat these steps for the area attribute. Again, Be careful to click the plus sign once. All of the red X's are gone from the window pane on the left. Click Save. To complete this activity, you will need to follow the same steps and create metadata for the roads and the trees. When you are done, save your map document and close ArcMap. Registered students will need to turn in the contents of the working folder, which should only contain the 3 shapefiles. Be sure the large Snape image file is not included. Right-click on your working folder, select 7-zip, then add to working.7z.